The genitive case in German. So, what is genitive? You've probably looked at nominative, accusative, and dative as cases. So, what's special about genitive? Well, first thing you need to note is that it shows possession or ownership. So, something belongs to someone or something. What's that relationship of possession or ownership between those items? So, you can show possession in a couple different ways in German, but genitive case is just one of those ways. In German, it takes the place of the English idea of the. So if we look at this simple phrase, the book of my teacher, in German becomes das Buch meines Lehrers. So this part, the of my teacher, is meines Lehrers, and that is an example of the genitive case. So the other way you can show possession in German is similar to English. So with proper nouns or names, you can simply add an S to it to show possession. So Heidi's Wohnung, Heidi's apartment, Arnold's film, Dirk's basketball. Now notice in German there's no apostrophe. So that's what we're used to in English to show possession is an apostrophe S. Now, the exception to this rule is if that proper noun ends in these certain letters. So if it ends in an S, an SZ, an X, or a Z, then you just add an apostrophe after those four letters to indicate the possession. So Fritz's Freunde, Max's Bücher, Jens's Ideen, und so weiter. So that's without genitive, one way to show possession. So let's kind of go back to how we got the of the teacher. So we've looked at nominative, accusative, and dative. You should be quite familiar with der, die, das, die, den, die, das, die, dem, der, dem, den. So our last case here for genitive is des, der, So my memory trick is sister, sister. You could also think of it as Spanish as señor, señor. Now, one of the things you're going to want to note is there's a special rule that's utilized when the noun is masculine or neuter, hence the stars here. So not only is it going to be the des form, but there's this extra rule, plus s or plus es, which I'm going to go over. So if you notice with that previous example of the teacher, it was Lehrers with an s at the end. That's because der Lehrer is masculine. And anything that's masculine or neuter gets an S or ES at the end. And I'll go over how you can tell the difference. So the Ein chart, because it's also good to note this, as we've seen in nominative, the endings blanky, blanky, any blanky, mr, mn. So very similar to des, der, it's still sr, sr. So there's my memory trick again. Doesn't matter whether it's ein or der, you still have this rule of adding an s or an es to masculine and neuter. And this is fairly easy to remember, right? Because it ends in an s, and so has to have an s or an es. This ends in an s, has to have an s or an es. And it also should be easy to remember that this rule is only for the genitive case, because genitive is possession. And when we think of possession, there's lots of s's in that word. And also what possession is in English is typically apostrophe S. So I think the letter S is going to stick with you. So what is this rule? So as I mentioned before, if it's a masculine or neuter noun, you have to add an S or an ES to the end of the noun. Well, that rule is based on the syllable count. So if it's a one-syllable word like Mann, you add an ES. If it's a two or more syllable word like Mädchen, you add an S. So one syllable gets two letters, two or more gets one letter. So if we look at these examples, das Buch, meines, now think Vater, I'm going to clap, Vater is two syllables, so two syllables gets an S. The color of the book, der Farbe des Buch, Buch. It's one syllable. Buch gets ES. Zum Beispiel, die Farbe meiner Augen ist grün. So remember, it's es, er, es, er. Augen is plural, so plural genitive is er. Der Beruf des Mannes ist neu. Mann is masculine. Masculine genitive is des. Mann is one syllable, so one syllable gets an es ending. Der Bruder meiner Freundin heißt Hans. So Freundin is feminine. Feminine genitive is er ending. Freundin is not masculine or neuter, so you don't have to worry about an s or es ending. So try your hand at these 5, taking the words in parentheses and putting those in the genitive. So instead of, is that the house? Oh, please make sure that's only one das. Is that the house of your sister? So your sister becomes genitive. Pause this video and resume when you're ready to check your answers. So once again, make sure you correct this. Ist das, oh no, that's right. Ist das Haus? Is that the house? Sorry. Ist das Haus deiner Schwester? Feminine genitive. Ist das die neue Freundin meines Bruders? Masculine genitive with a 2-syllable noun. Das ist der Sohn meines Arztes. Masculine genitive. Arzt is 1 syllable, so add an es. Dort sind die Schuhe der Frau. Frau is feminine. Feminine genitive. Die Farbe meiner Augen ist blau. And that was my fault. That should have been just meine, so I made a mistake. So plural, eyes, er ending.